Hello, every live. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my co-host, Professor Lloyd. I always get confused on which way I'm pointing. And today, we do have a guest, Prepping Money, but he's a little late right now. So, but today, and we always have to, start the show on time. So, um, today we're going to talk about prepping. Um, Prepping in sense of financial prepping and just prepping in today's world. Why prepping is important. Now, our guest, Prepping Money, I wanted him to tell you to lead off with the story that he had or a situation that he went through during Katrina. And that's what got him into prepping. It's actually a moving story, but a lot of people went through a lot of stuff back then. But what I have been telling people personally is that, aside from, you need to save your money, you need to do this, you need to do that, you do need to invest in some sort of emergency welfare, some type of emergency well-being.
Right.
In today's world, it seems like more and more these natural disasters are coming more and more frequent. And Mother Nature, she doesn't play. We cannot tame her. She does what she wants when she wants to do it. Doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. I don't care. You can have an earthquake in New York, and you can have a tsunami in California. Anything can happen now. So it's important to, at least to me, this is my own personal thing. It's important to me to prep in some way. So, Professor, what do you think?
Well, I agree. I can tell you what happened here. Of course, we all heard about the Texas freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened in Texas, and what happened in Texas, it was kind of funny because my daughter was living in Kansas. She was not stationed. She was had her scholarship there. She came and telling us, something's coming. You guys need to really, be ready. And, she was into those like little conspiracy theory things, like something's going to happen. And so she was like, you guys need to prep. You guys get ready, go get stuff in cans and do this. And so I was like, okay, I'll go do that. Go get some gas. So we, filled up our tanks with gas and something had just told me, hey, go down to the Office Depot, Home Depot, whatever, and buy a generator. So I went and bought a generator, had it in the garage. I was like, okay, got a generator, we got gas, we got all this. Had cables, had different stitcher cords. And then the Texas freeze happened. And it just so happened I just bought about $150 of firewood from this guy named Firewood Paul. Still have his name in my phone. Firewood Paul brings about 8 barrels of firewood in a wheelbarrow, and he's dumping them. I'm stacking them up, and I'm like, man, we ain't never gonna use these things. And here comes the freeze, the rolling power outages, cold as I don't know what. But my fireplace and the preparation with the generator, it basically saved our ass.
So during that freeze, how long was your electricity out?
Well, they started doing some type of rolling outages. And what I think was bad about these rolling outages, they didn't tell us. I think a rolling outage is good when you say, hey, your power.
Are you talking about rolling outages during the summer or during the winter?
During this freeze, during the Texas freeze. And yeah, remember, all right, so what happened is Texas has a grid.
Right.
And basically we were not prepared for it. Texas was not prepared, and all of the windmills and everything froze. So basically, they started doing this. This one person, I guess, I forget his name. They say he's a genius that saved Texas. But he came up with, hey, if we do these rolling outages like they do in New York and places like California, we could save Texas. So this person starts doing these rolling outages, and out of nowhere, it's like, but see, what the thing is, people in New York, California, they do it so much that they tell them what time their outages are going to be. They didn't tell us. And had they told us, it would have been a better rhythm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So here we are. We're putting stuff into the fireplace. The house is coming good. I mean, we're all sitting in front of. The house is nice and cool in the living room. So here we are. We're stacking up stuff there. At nighttime, where I'm making sure the fire is out. First thing in the morning, I'm getting the fire going again. We have a generator going at our front door because you don't bring a generator in the house. We didn't want to take it all the way to our back deck, so I wanted to put it on our back deck. If we put it on the back deck and you start hearing all these generators all over the neighborhood just going off, so our generator's going. We have extension cords coming in the house, and it was just crazy. We had a way to charge our phones. Our phones are charging. Extension cords are going to everybody's room. I think one of the biggest things, we had extension cord going to the internet. I don't even know why that became important, but we just but the number one thing is we had it was going to our refrigerator, and so our refrigerator was able to stay off because of the generator. We was filling the generator up. We're doing all these things during the Texas freeze, and I could literally say that my daughter Mariah basically saved our butts by telling us prepare, and her. Even though it was a conspiracy theory in her mind, it was, y'all need to prepare. So we just happened to do it. And out of nowhere, we were ready for the Texas freeze. And while everybody was, miserable, we would sit up in here like, we good. So we were prepared. Okay. I think being prepared is very important.
Welcome, Prepping Money. Good to see you again. And I like the new hair. It's probably not new to you, but it's new to me since the last time I saw you. So welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it. I wanted everyone, we were just telling them just a little bit, we just got started, but I wanted you to tell everyone about what happened in 2005 with your family, which made you to prepare. If you give us a short version as opposed to the long version, but pretty much, let everybody know.
Absolutely. So, hurricane.
Okay, hold on. You're a little bit choppy.
Am I? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Hurricane Katrina happens. Young chef, New Orleans. As the movie background is set. I'm just kidding. Young family. We just had a baby. We're about to have another baby. We're living a leash, you know what I mean? 2 miles away from the French Quarter. Hurricane Katrina happens. 6 feet of water inside of our house. Wow. We live upstairs. And to make it a long story short, being a young chef at that time, like you want to, and you're in New Orleans, so you want to buy everything fresh every day. You know what I mean? Like you want to cook everything fresh every day. So did we stock anything in our home? Absolutely not. My second child was born a few weeks before Hurricane Katrina hit. So we had a newborn baby inside the house. So if you can think of any worst scenario to be in, that was it. The newborn was taken care of. I was scared for my wife because, like I said before, we hadn't eaten in a few days. The food that we did have, we gave to my child, and to my wife because she's nursing, and miraculously, it was like day 5. You know what I mean? Like I see a red cooler drift, and it was like hitting against the side of my truck. Well, this red cooler had hot dogs. Somebody was going to a barbecue, but this red cooler had drifted away in the rising tide, and there were 8 bottles of water in there, a bunch of water. There was hot dog buns sitting above the water, so some of them got soggy, some of them didn't. But there was a package of 12 hot dogs in there, and the 12 hot dogs was enough to get us through the next couple of days until help came. Thankfully, at that time, the Cajun Navy came. When the water started receding down to about 4 feet, we could move around a little bit, and we got out of there. you know, and I thank God for that every single day. But that was one of the reasons why now I am a freak on preparation.
Okay, so you're also in Texas now.
Yep.
So
And I went through the Texas freeze just
okay,
like
so share so share your short version of the Texas freeze.
All right.
And
So
what you did, because it's interesting all the stuff that prep had.
so we just moved into a new home during like a day before the freeze actually happened. Do you remember Lloyd, when the day before it just started snowing? They
Yeah.
told us, yeah, the day before it just started snowing, and then it wouldn't stop snowing.
Yeah, because they said it's not gonna stick. It's not gonna stick.
It's not gonna stick. Oh man! But then we ended up getting like 4 to 6 inches or something crazy, and then and then it was like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like the first week, power out, no water. We had to. We left one house to move into our new house, so we had to drive literally in the snow and ice 30 minutes to the old house because we still had stuff in there and we are cleaning up. Get water from there. Get every single cooler. I got every single cooler, every single device that I could think of that can hold water. Literally taking it back to my new house, emptying it out in bathtubs, going back, you know what I mean, several times to do this. Everybody in my family using one bathroom downstairs because I didn't want to take water upstairs to flush the toilet. So the safest way to bed is everybody use the family bathroom, and and I told them, I said, no matter how much you want to, we have to conserve this flushing water. So to make a long story short, I told him, I said, you're going to have to see everybody else's business. You know what I mean? And I'll flush it, you know what I'm saying, after everybody has a bowel movement. So I only had to flush the toilet literally only about 2 to 3 times a day.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, because when you're in that scenario, your pipes are freezing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know how it's going to react. You know what I mean? And the only thing I didn't want to get stuck with was a bunch of boo-boo inside the toilet upstairs and downstairs. You know what I mean? And so like that was my worst fear. Luckily the power went out, but our gas did not. Our gas did not go out. So I was actually my electric starter on my stove went out, but I was actually able to manually light it with a lighter. So we were able to actually boil water. We're actually fed it through some of these filters that we have here. Sawyer is a great one. I love Sawyer water filters just because of the fact that they can filter out up to 0.09 microns, meaning that's down to protozoa level. Like it's and these small filters can filter out 100,000 gallons of water.
That's awesome.
They can filter out up to 10,000 gallons without a backflush. So like,
you say you're a chef. Have you ever cooked eggs over open fire?
Yes.
I had to do it. I did. I was like, hey, because I had it working. I said, man, I just want to see how it feels to take this cast iron, skillet, and put it over the fire and make an egg. So I just wanted to make one egg just to see how it works.
What's crazy is that my fiance now, her father is an open flame cooker. Like there's a bunch of them in Louisiana and Texas. And what that is they take full cast iron and they cook on open flame. Wow. And so it's a way that everybody in the United States cooked less than 100 years ago.
Correct. But that's also, but going back to tying that in with prepping, people, we may have to do that. One day we may have to, in our backyards or in the middle of the street, we may have to get those cast irons and cook.
And here's the thing, like we just raised the debt ceiling again, so now we're officially in hyperinflation. They're not calling it that. But you got to think about it like this from the money point aspect of it. Right now, you don't need to be complaining about your job. You need to be showing up to your job, and you need to be making other means of income. You need to be hustling every single, like I work weddings plus a full-time job, plus I have a business on the side. I have 3 modes of income that I get from. Why? Because I have to hedge against that. There's some way that I have to hedge against that inflation. And you guys all know, we've all seen it, we've all heard it, multiple streams of income. You know what I mean? Like you want multiple streams of income at all times.
Mm-hmm.
But my entire strategy behind hedging against this inflation is that I have to bring in a certain amount of money to make me feel comfortable that our family is comfortable. Now an earthquake could hit tomorrow and it could affect me and my family, but we're good.
Now, I have a question. What is comfortable? Because I think for some reason, when you're so used to living in a society where, because I know, like for me, right? I suck at living comfortable. What I mean by that is I live over comfortable. I'm used to going out to eat. I'm used to spending my money on just God knows whatever. And for me, it's like I want to be able to say, you know what, let me try and be frugal, right? But I'm not a frugal person. And so how does a person who's not frugal prep to be in a frugal situation if I've never been there before?
Well, you got to think about it like this. Like, we live in the society of instantaneous gratification. So, and this is a new learned trait. And if you actually look at the statistics before COVID, people had delayed gratification before COVID. Now, I don't know what happened during COVID. That was an entire psyop that nobody even seen, because you got to think about it like this. $3.7 trillion. That's what Amazon made during COVID.
Yeah.
Just people buying stuff, instant gratification from their homes because they couldn't leave their house.
That's correct.
And so you think about it like this. All they did was they put out a fishing line and a hook during COVID, and they figured out that with all this extra money people were getting, do you notice that all the influencers and everybody like that during COVID, nobody was pumping doing a small business. Nobody was pumping, you know what I'm saying? Invest your money into this. Nobody was doing that. What was everybody doing?
Buy stocks and stuff.
Yeah,
like
buy everything.
But at the same time, Prep, you did see a lot of businesses pop up in your mama's basement, your garage, your kitchen,
you did see some, but the marketing of it,
that's true,
didn't happen until after COVID.
That's true.
When majority of Americans didn't have the money to start some of these small businesses and some of these small ventures, you know what I'm saying, until after COVID was over and people were returning back to work.
But you know what? But to address what Lloyd said, my father grew up poor. He was from Alabama, and when I say he grew up poor, he said that his floor was dirt. He said he didn't know what it was like to have meat on the table every day until he married my mom.
Wow.
Having said that, my sister and my mom and we used to always laugh at my father because we're like, Daddy, you were just so cheap. You were just so cheap. I mean, he would drive a car until it literally, I remember those Buicks that had the tops with the vinyl tops on the outside?
Yes.
We're literally driving down the expressway in Chicago.
Oh,
and that car is so old, it flies off. The vinyl top flies off. Thank God it did not hit another car or something. And my mother was like, you got to get rid of that car. He's like, nope. He says, nope. He did not get rid of that car until it fell off. Now, my mother, on the other hand, she would buy a new car every 3 years. And my father's like, that's a waste of money. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And he said, you need to learn how to not have anything, because one day you may not have anything. Now, coming from somebody who did not have anything, I can understand that. But over the years, my mother never did, but my sister and I, we started to adopt that whatever. So it's like, yeah, I can go out and I can buy this. Yeah, I can go out and buy that. But honestly, I very rarely shop for clothes. I very rarely, I mean, it's just things that I don't need. I mean, I'm driving a car that's a 2006. I love that car. I'm going to drive that car into the ground because I love it because I don't want a car note.
That made me feel bad. I was out close shop.
You know, my husband on the other hand just went out and bought a Tesla, and I'm like, but his money, he can do whatever the hell he wants to, But at the same time, we will spend money on all of this, but no one will spend money on getting a flashlight, getting batteries, getting any type of emergency stuff. They won't spend money on that, but they'll spend money on, like you said, that instant gratification. My husband goes out to eat all the time. I rarely go out to eat. Number one, I think it's a waste of money. Number two, I think people are nasty. But I mean, it's like all this food that you have at home. We have enough. If we did not have to leave our house for a year, we would be able to survive because of what we have. And prep, I got this from you. Every time I go to the market, when I shop, I always buy at least 5 cases of water.
Well, I'll tell you this. That was one thing that we did. We had so much water in this house. My mom could tell you. We had, I can tell you one thing that Liz was good at one point. She used to do the couponing. And she would get all these coupons. She'll go to the store, and I'd be like, "What the heck are you doing? We have all this soap. We had all this toilet paper. We had all these paper towels." And I'm sitting here like, man. But when it came down to the Texas freeze, when I say that we had toilet paper, we had toilet paper. I still have a shampoo and body wash from 4 years ago.
Wow.
But Lloyd, but you also
literally from we had a stockpile in our garage. We had, soap. Everything. Now I'll tell you this: what happened during the pandemic? I have a nephew. He drives for the Dollar General, and during the pandemic, someone flipped one of the trailers, and when the trailer flipped, Dollar General was like, "If y'all have family, tell them to come get it because they can't deliver no more." So when I talk about the whole family were driving out there 3 or 4 times, filling up cars with stuff. We had stuff like crazy. But a lot of that was our prepping stuff. Like we had the toilet paper, we had the body wash, we had the hand sanitizer, we had everything just out there, and it was all put together nice and neat. And so I don't think. See, the thing is, the reason why people don't prep solid is because some people, and I'm not you, not myself, probably not prep money, but what I'm saying is, but some people don't have the money to prep. Some people.
I'm not saying that, and no, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's like you go buy a pack of cigarettes instead of going to buy a flashlight.
Right. Well, right, and some people do that. That's their habits, that's their urges. But I'm saying, I know for me, couponing was the way that we was able to prep.
Oh yeah.
Couponing, and then
I get that.
And buying a case of water. Buying a case of water, we was able to do that. But I'm saying, but some people, when they look at that extreme couponing show, they think it's a hoax. But really,
it isn't. It isn't. Couponing, yes.
So there was a person at the store who would literally, when they seen us, they would open up a register just for us because we had so much stuff, and we would get through the whole thing, and we'd pay like $3 for like 5 baskets worth of stuff. And people don't understand that if you get the Sunday paper, cut the couponing out, you can prep that way. There's so much stuff. Harbor Freight gives away. If you go to Harbor Freight, if you look at it in the Sunday paper, Harbor Freight gives away flashlights. They literally say, take this coupon to them, get a free flashlight. You get batteries with the flashlight. So
I got a lot of stuff from Harbor Freight, but Lloyd, another thing that I have learned and prep, I got this from you too, and I actually, not that we've had an emergency, but my neighbor and I, we tend to do it sometimes. Having all that stuff, all your toilet paper and stuff like that, when things break bad, you need stuff to barter because people are not going to have cash. So this is where I'm totally serious. It's like, okay, you need toilet paper. I'll give you this toilet paper. Can I have two bags of beans or something? Because where somebody might need to wipe their butt, you may need to eat. So, and when you think about it, what they did back in the olden days, a lot of people didn't have money. You had your neighbors that were trading stuff and they were bartering stuff, and you had this and that. So yeah, I understand that people may not have money to go out and buy this, and this, and this. But if you do have those things, batteries, and when things break bad and electricity and stuff, batteries are going to be huge. Yes. So, and that's another thing. I have this pack of batteries. Can I, like I said, can I get some soap? Can I get this? Whatever. So, prep.
I'll say this, and I've said this to quite several to my friends. You know what I mean? Like, and going back and wrapping up before and what you asked about, like how can you prep? It's easy. It's literally what I've told Solid is every time you go to the store, buy 2 extra cans of beans. Every time you go to the store to pick up something, buy just one more. You know what I mean? Like right now, while it's still cheap, you can get a 50-pound bag of rice at Sam's Club or Costco for $30. You know what I mean? That's not expensive. Right now, it's not expensive. But I'll tell you what, that same 50-pound bag of jasmine rice, we were paying $18 for before COVID. It's still $30. So you got to think about it like this. Now that we're in hyperinflation, that same bag of rice in 6 months is probably going to cost me $45 to $50. I'm going to be paying $1 a pound for rice. Sugar has gone up 6%. Before COVID, you can get a 25-pound bag of sugar for less than $10. Now it's $12.99. So that means in 6 months you're almost paying $20.
Wow.
For 25 pounds of sugar, you're literally paying 80 cents per pound for sugar. And that is crazy. It is crazy. It is absolutely insane. So that's why I tell people every time you go to the store, buy a little extra. Buy a little extra. Your kids don't need, and I tell people all the time when I financially advise people, your kids don't need shoes every 3 months. They don't. I never got shoes every 3 months when I was a kid. I got shoes maybe once a year. And another pair if, you know what I'm saying, if I made the basketball or football team. And at that time, it was cleats. But you got to understand, like, they don't need that stuff. It's just a desire or a want inside of you to look the best in front of people you don't really like anyway. Honestly, to tell you the truth, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's the same thing. Now I've been blessed with a fiance who is very frugal, and she speaks into me quite often because I'm like, hey, when these stocks take off, I'm buying a Bugatti. And she's like, no, the hell you are not. Okay, we are buying more stocks. We're buying property. We're putting our money into assets. I don't know why I want a Bugatti. I've always wanted one. I think they look cool. You know what I mean? But like, but it's the same thing of what I practice. I have to practice what I preach, and it's the same thing. The Bugatti is like a pair of Jordans. You know what I mean? Except for it has a higher flex, and that's all it is. It's a flex. It's a flex to be around the people that you don't really like anyway.
But let's go back real quick. You said about stocks, right? I know during the pandemic, when we got these stimulus packages, that's what I did. I started getting some stocks. One stock I made a lot of money in. I wish I would have kept it. I forgot what happened, why I cashed it in, but there was a stock called Penn National Gaming, and I bought them for I think it was like $12 a share. When I cashed them in, they were $88 a share.
Yep.
And I think I bought about 60 shares. So I was like real happy with that. And I turned around the other day just to go look. Now they're like $140, $150 a share. And I'm just sitting here like, why did I cash them out? I should have kept on buying more. I should have kept on buying more, like you just said. I think I just wasn't ready for the long game. You know what I mean? I wanted the instant. I won this much. I got this much. Get it out.
But see, but that's when you have to kind of let it ride. In 1983, I bought Walmart stock for $2.34 a share. I bought 2,000 shares because I had just gotten a bonus check from where I work. I bought 2,000 shares. I've never ever sold that stock. Walmart stock now is probably about $150 a share. I never ever sold that stock. And you know, and another thing that people have to do too. And again, I know it comes down to if you can afford to do it. When 401ks first came out, and I remember when they first came out, I was back in 1988 or something. You had the 401ks. Hold on, prep. You know, I know some people are for 401ks and some people are not. I worked at a telecommunications company that would match dollar for dollar your 401k and their stock options. You can take anywhere from 1% to 15% out of your check.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to do this, you know, whatever. So my mother, she was like, take the whole 15%. I'm like, well, Mom, they take 15%. This is what I'm going to have on my check. She said, take the whole 15%. Get used to the 15% leaving. Then you just know this is what you're going to get every time you get paid. So I took the 15% and I had 15% matching my stock because they would match, like I said, dollar for dollar. Companies do not do that anymore. So that 401k that Prep is putting his finger down for, that paid for our house when we moved to California. You know, that paid for, you know, it's like, and I am an advocate of, if you have the money, just buy it. Don't do that, you know, because you had a lot of people who took out second mortgages on their house to get their pool and stuff like that before you took a mortgage out because grandma needed an operation because you were sending your kids to college. People were taking, you know, during the housing boom, people were taking all these mortgages out so they can get a pool, whatever, or they went to buy a car that they didn't buy outright. They went and got on the 5-year plan. And by the time they spent, you know, $30,000 on a car after 5 years, if it wasn't repossessed, they ended up spending 60. Yep. So again, you know, going back to what you said, Lloyd, about a lot of people can't afford it, but that's when I say, if you can buy those cigarettes, then you can buy that flashlight. So,
right. No, I mean, yeah, I understand, but it's the, I don't think.
And I know it's a mindset. I know it's a mindset.
I don't think the practical mind of a person who is who's living check to check, and they see their fix, their getaway, their calm down, their Newport, their cool, their Benson Hedges, and all them other cigarettes that's out there. When they see it, that, you know, I don't think, and they get to the corner store, they don't look at, you know, because I'll tell you this, I went to the corner store the other day, right? I was gonna buy some bleach, and I got there, so I was gonna get some bleach because I had Avery cleaning the bathroom or something. And I looked at the price of bleach in the corner store. I said, "Oh, hell no!" Nah. So a lot of times when people go to the corner store, they had
you better go to the Dollar Tree.
Right? No, they had
the $1.25 store.
A little bitty thing of bleach, a little bitty thing for like $7.52. I'm like, I'm not about to buy that. Then, you know, just looking around for little things. I said, okay. So I think a lot of times when people don't have cars, walking distance to their corner store, those corner stores are elevated prices.
Yeah.
So it's easier for them to pick that $7 pack of cigarettes than to pick something to, you know, for life, you know, stability. Plus, I think people still really believe that the government's going to save them. That if things happen bad, they're going to save us. And they don't understand the government. Heck, Ted Cruz flew to doggone Cancun while we was freezing. I'm saying, the man flew to Cancun, man.
And left his dog at home to freeze.
And left the dog at home. So I'm trying to say, so they don't care about us. So we have, and I think we have to create networks. We have to create, and not just networks, but we need to create ways to sustain ourselves for the long haul. And I think the only way we can do that is we have to learn how to share resources. Like I said, I thank God for my neighbor across the street. When he was getting all that firewood, I said, "Hey, where you getting the firewood, man?" He said, "Hey, let me give you my man's number." Gave me Paul's number. Firewood Paul, that we call him. Yeah, man. I said, "Where you got the fire?" Man, I got all these acres, and I just go cut it down, and this is how I make my money. I cut down my trees, and I take everybody firewood. And he brought me that firewood, and now it's like having, you know, I would never ever get a house without a fireplace. because that fireplace kept us warm. It was
you can cook.
Yeah, it was able to cook. I mean, we made s'mores for the first time in forever. We were just around the fireplace like, yo, let's tell stories. I mean, so while everybody's talking about this sucks, we made best out of it. We was sitting here, the generator was real loud. I mean, we'd cut it off at nighttime, I'll refill in the morning, get that bad boy going again. Cell phones were charged, we was warm, everybody's under blankets. I tell you, being prepared and having water. Because we was getting cases of water. All them cases of water. And I was the Grinch. Every time we hit the store, why are we buying more water? Me, because I was one having to tote the water in the house, so I'm mad, right? But I tell you, having all them cases of water, having all the heck, I was even being the sausages, having the sausages, having the beans and weenies, the ravioli.
But look, but water is an essential. And hold on one second. I wanted to share something with you guys, and y'all may laugh at me, but I bought this back, I don't know, the beginning of the year, whatever. And I've had to use it twice. I always put it in my car if I'm going long distances, but I also bought it, just for the house, even though we do have generators for the house. So are you all seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, so I bought this.
Blue Eddy is a great brand.
Yes, and actually, this charges your phone. It charges this. I mean, it does so much. It does so much. But yeah, and I've had the opportunity, or I've had the occasion. I've had to use it twice while I was driving. Driving through the desert, where your cell phone doesn't get signals, whatever. But I had a question for you. So what would you say the most essential thing to have in your? Give us 3 things that you are must have, even if they're just sitting in your closet, but 3 things that are a must have, just in case.
Okay. Well, you want to be, as we know in prepping, in our community, redundancy is number 1. The more redundancies you have, meaning the more extras of things you have, it betters your survival rate. So the basic needs of survival, the basic needs of prepping is you need food, you need water, you need shelter, you need some sort of pick-me-up for yourself, and you need security. And you need water. So 5 things. So food, water, shelter, security, and you need
that pick-me-up. That one thing.
Okay. So, but in terms of food, though, now we all heard about 15 bean soup, and I must say I have perfected my 15 bean soup. It is good. Okay, so I know a lot of preppers talk about their 15 bean soup, and even Patti LaBelle, she is on YouTube doing her 15 bean soup. So, in terms of food, though, what essential food items do you need? Because I know beans, rice. That a lot of people don't want to eat, but when you're surviving, you're gonna eat those beans and rice 7 days a week.
Yeah, when you're surviving, like, that's what they call it. They call it surviving. You know what I mean? But like me, I have a family of 6. I have children. I want to be thriving. So for me, off the top, yes, I have the beans and rice. I have all of that. Me, essentially, I stock canned meat.
What about tuna? I love tuna fish.
Yeah, tuna.
Like, whether it be tuna, whether it be beef, whether it be chicken, whether it be pork, I stock all kinds of canned meat because those items are a little bit higher in price.
Yeah.
So I buy a little bit more of those things when I go to the store. Why? I don't want to lose. I want to survive, but I don't want to lose a lot of body mass. The reason why that is you don't know what's going to happen in a survival situation. Why? Especially if somebody is in the same situation you are.
Right.
Your neighbors might be in the same situation you are. Your friendly neighbor across the street might turn into a monster when it comes to survival. So I want to keep my size. Why? Because if one of these people want to come in my house and play with me, I don't I don't want to go there with anybody, but if I have to, I want to keep my, I mean, I'm 6'4", 260 right now. Like, I'm menacing when I'm standing over somebody. But at the same time, people that know me know that I'll give the shirt off my back to help anybody. But if you come inside my house trying to harm me and my family to take what is rightfully mine, there's going to be a problem. And so,
okay, Prep. Okay, so let's talk about that, because Katie says that you got to have the people around you and everything. And I was going to talk about the expiration dates, but again, that's when I come to the barter thing. I mean, it's like if the story about the mouse and the bird. The mouse was prepping all summer, and the bird was like, ooh. Then winter came, and the bird was shit out of luck, and the mouse had all this food, whatever. So what do you do with the neighbor who isn't prepared?
well,
And they do want to come at you. I mean, because there are going to be people you want to share with, and there are going to be people who are going to be like, well, no. I mean,
here's the thing, like when you are part of a community, and I hope this answers Katie's question, you have to realize that there's going to be a 0.5% of the people who are in your community that have been invited by other community members that do not have you or your family's best interests.
Mm.
Do you get what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. You sound like the purge to me. You sound like we're about to start purging.
you got to understand that there are wolves in every grouping. There in every grouping of people. I believe personally, as a man, as a father, that I should be the sheepdog. The reason why that is because, for those of you who don't know what a sheepdog is, it's the dog that protects the sheep,
Right, from the wolves.
From the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why, and a community needs those men. The reason why it is because when community is together and they stand, they're strong.
Yes.
They can barter. Bartering works within a
Mm-hmm.
community,
mm-hmm.
but it does not work with neighbors, because they're going to keep coming. 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 And then when you don't know, and you don't know how long it's going to last. We might have a grid down situation to where we don't have any electricity. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to cut food. You may see your neighbor cut down his tree and then come across the street trying to cut yours down so they can have firewood.
No, honestly, I thought about that. There were nights during the freeze, and even though our freeze only lasted about a week, but there were nights where I was making sure that I still had a routine to grab my pistol if things were going to get rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, you don't know who's going to try. When people hear generator, in my mind, I'm sleeping, I'm like, if I hear generator go off, I need to come out ready, because someone could be trying to grab your generator and throwing it on their truck and driving away. Like you said, you don't know how desperate people are. Even to the point where I was going to get some sandbags and basically like dig my generator in the backyard to make sure people can't, and put a chain on it, right? Because when you chain it, people aren't going to be more reluctant not to do it. So at nighttime, just that right there, putting my generator back in the garage, putting it away, bringing all our lines in, I think that was very important because of those situations. Because you didn't, like you just said, when you have and the other person doesn't, it only takes that quick for them to have and you not. And so I'm with you. You do want to keep your size. I want to keep my aim. I just want to keep my aim. I'm not 6'2". I'm not 2 nothing. I'm barely 5. I'm barely 5'7". Probably weighing a good 190. But I retired from the Army. I have a good trigger finger. I know how to protect things, right? So yeah, I feel what you're saying. If those times did come, would I be prepared today like I was for the freeze? No. I was way more prepared during the freeze than I am today. And I think even after this show, it kind of lets me know maybe it's time to start preparing again, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I think it is important that you find that place in your home where you can actually stockpile things for you and your family.
So, I just want to address what Josie said. Can you let everyone know that the expiration dates, what they really mean, and how long you can actually keep that can of food?
Yeah. So cans of food are good up to about 3 years. Okay. The expiration date is just the goodbye date. This is how, in a survival situation, this is how you used to test it 50, 60 years ago. And this is coming out of a Mormon survival guide. I don't know if you guys know about that, but they are some of the most high duress people. Their missionaries go through like a lot. I'm not a Mormon. I just read their survival pamphlets because they're literally one of the few people groups that literally have a survival guide for all their people and how much salt you need a year, how much fat you need a year, how much rice, how much beans, how much everything. I encourage everybody to look that up. The other side of this is that circling back around, you have to realize that when you open up that can, you want to you want to touch it to your lips. Okay. Whatever's inside there, you want to touch it to your lips. When you touch it to your lips, give it a little lick, spit it out, roll it through your mouth again. The reason why you want to do that is if you taste anything metallic first, discard the can. It's inedible. You
Well, are
cannot
you
eat
saying
it.
that no matter what can you open, you just go to the store and buy a can of soup today?
I opened up enchilada sauce the other day. I opened up enchilada sauce the other day from the store. This is from the store. And I always do this can test. I'll take the lid because, you know, there's always some sauce or whatever on the lid. I take the lid off. I put it up to my lips. I taste it on my tongue. I spit it out into the sink, and it tasted like metal. So I knew that can of enchilada sauce was bad. So I had to go back to the store and buy another can of enchilada sauce. I do this practice even with food that that they say is still good.
Okay.
And the reason why.
So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but so you're saying that because I know you say the best by date. I know best by just means that it's best before that date, but you can still use it after. And I do use food that is after the best by date. Are you saying that maybe 2 years after the best by date, I can still do that metal test? And if I'm not tasting anything,
it depends on what it is, because some companies do really good food practices. What's the difference between my can of meat that I can myself that I know is good for at least 5 to 10 years, and then the one in the store? The one in the store has better canning, right? I mean, it was canned it's in a metal tin. They've sealed it. They've used the same things that I did, but my glass jars are ones that I did at home, right? Well, if you're canning at home and you know that they're good for 5 to 10 years, then what's the difference between that and the can? But the taste. And since it is carried in a metal can, and some of those contents, after a period of time, that's why most canned foods are good for at least 2 to 3 years. But in a survival situation, what if it's year 2 or year 3? And you're looking at that can of peaches like it's Sunday roast. You know what I mean? Like you have to make those judgment calls. Is this going to be good enough for me? I don't particularly like the metal taste in my food or in my canned food. So that's why I like to rotate every 2 years. I rotate my stock every 2 years. The reason why that is because I know some canned food is not. So there's times where me and my family, after we replenish our stock inside of our prep, we use the prep that's going out first. Sometimes we don't even go to the store. We go to the prep closet, or we go to, you know what I'm saying, the section of our house where we keep our prep in. And everything that's expiring within the next year, guess what? That's dinner this month, or that's, you know what I'm saying, this is going to be a side, this is going to be this. You have to have good practices inside your home, and you have to treat it like it's a store at that point. So things that are going out of rotation, You have to take them out
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that if something does happen, you have the freshest, best quality canned food or non-perishables in there.
Well, I mean, and that's a good point because, uh, you know, when I shop and especially canned food, when I put it on the shelf, I put the newer stuff in the back and bring the older stuff forward because that's what I'm going to use. My husband he loves frozen dinners, and I'm like, this is such a waste of money, whatever. So I learned how to make my own frozen dinners, which are actually really, really, really good, And now he's like, we don't have any more of that. We don't. I'm like, whatever. But that meat that you were possibly going to throw away, you can chop that up, and that's soup. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. So it's more of a mindset of getting into it, and once you start doing it, it's just second hand, whatever. So
You gotta think about it like this. Like, what's my motivation behind prepping is different than other people's motivation. Some people prep so they can keep their community good. I prep because I don't ever want my kids to go hungry. I don't want that feeling again. I looked at my daughter and I was desperate. As a dad, I was desperate. I was crying up there, you know what I'm saying, in that house in Louisiana. I was crying. As a father, I was crying because I could not feed my kid because she was crying and she was hungry and I couldn't do it. And to a father, that is debilitating.
Yes.
That is a debilitating feeling that you cannot provide a single ounce of food for your child so they can be happy or be satiated. That is a humbling thing. So I took that mindset and I carried it over into my everyday life. And now my fiance's in on it. And every time we go to Sam's Club or every time we go to Walmart or Target or something and we're picking up food, we pick up a little extra every single time just to put in the prep closet because of the fact that these things are essential, because we both have that feeling of we don't want that feeling. We don't want that feeling. So we prep. Go ahead.
I don't know, say that's a powerful statement you just said about your motivation, right? Why do you do it? And just that's a very, just like I said, that's a very powerful, just to know how you felt, seeing your family, being a provider and not being able to provide at that moment. And I think a lot of people, because they've never been faced with that, of course, yourself in Louisiana, a lot of other people in Louisiana, they've been faced with that, and so they understand that. I wonder how many people now who have now left Louisiana have that mindset. I wonder how many people have carried that away. I watched on the news how people were taking an axe and cutting themselves out of their attics and stuff like that. And it made me be like, man, I need to get an axe up in this house. Just the certain little tools that you never thought that you would get or need. Now you see yourself having those around because you never know when you're gonna have to, be on top of your roof waiting on a helicopter or things like that.
And that's a good point that you said, because I went and I bought several different hand saws afterwards. I bought, I had an axe. I bought a log splitter. The reason why is because you're exactly right. In a grind down situations and you don't have any way to recharge your battery in your power tools and stuff like that, you need to have some kind of tools that will work, that will get the job done. You may have a couple trees in your backyard and no firewood. If you don't have an axe or a saw or something, you're going to be in trouble. Because I'm going to tell you what, all the gas powered stuff, it's powered by electricity. So you think the gas pump is going to work? It's not. You're going to get gas for your gas powered lawnmower, your gas powered chainsaw. It's going to run out. You're going to eventually run out, and you're going to have to go back to the old ways. And that's by using saws, using axes, you know what I mean? And practicing these things. I tell people all the time, these are things in preparation you have to prepare for, meaning that you have to practice for it. The reason why is because I just had this conversation on TikTok the other day in a live where they're like, oh, I got a 70-pound bug out bag. You know what I mean? I said, mine is not. And everybody was in shock. And I was like, why? And I was like, because if I need to get somewhere, I'm not carrying 50, 70 pounds. I'm not training for that. You know what I mean? Do you know how heavy 70 pounds is? That's what that's what the average military man carries on his back. And in a time of war, they're carrying 50 pounds in a backpack, or they're carrying up to 120 pounds in ammunition on their person. So they're carrying an entire other person on their persons when they're in a war situation. Me, I want to be quick. I want to be agile. I want to be able to move. So I'm carrying a lighter. I'm carrying fishing line. I'm carrying everything that I can possibly think of that can go up to 20 to 30 pounds, a way to filter water inside of a go bag. Why? Because I want to be light. I want to be quick. And I want to go. I don't want to. I can get it. You know.
Well,
Go ahead.
no. I was just going to say, just to start wrapping it up. I do believe that everybody should have a go bag. We have 6 go bags in our house. I have a go bag that I have in my car. And these are just things that, to me, that you should have. But at the same time, with these go bags and everything, growing up, when we started driving, I'm talking about my dad again. He always said, "Drive as though you're going to get stuck. Drive as though you're, And when I had my son, you have, he's a baby and you have his change of clothes. But then I went to a fireman. The fireman had this survival thing. And they said, when you are in your car, you also need to have a change of clothes. Who's ever in the car, you need to have a change of clothes. So now I drive with a pair of sweatpants and t-shirt, whatever, and y'all gonna laugh. I have disposable underwear. Because I'm sorry, these are things that you just don't think you're going to need. But I have the disposable washcloths, which I love, whatever. But so Prep, do you have any last words of encouragement that you want to leave everyone? Or
for the people that are afraid to prep because they think it's expensive, I always follow the 50-30-20 rule. And this goes out to everything. And I think, Solid, you know what this is that 50% of your finances goes toward rent. It goes toward bills. It goes toward all of that. Okay. You keep 20% aside for investments and going into your retirement. 30% you can spend on whatever the hell you want. You can either choose to save it. You can unload more into your retirement. But in that 30%, when you're shopping for clothes and all that for your kids and stuff like that, you have to ask yourself, do my kids really need this, or do I really need this? You have to be your own moderator. I always save an extra 10% out of everything for prep. The reason why is that in my head all the time, I know Texas, as Lloyd knows, Texas is a funny place. The power can go out at any second. We have rolling blackouts here. We experienced one the other day over here outside the Metroplex. And that kind of stuff right there is why I do it. And you got to also prep for your environment. You have to prep for your environment. You live in a desert environment. The number one thing you're going to need is what? Water.
Mm-hmm. What part of the city are you in?
I live right outside of DFW, man.
Okay, so you're in Dallas area. Okay. I'm in San Antonio.
All right. Dude, it's hot in San Antonio.
Yeah. So snow for us was like, whoa.
So Lloyd, do you have any last words of encouragement?
My last words, thank you, Prep, for coming up here and just my biggest enlightening thing was, you don't want to ever have that feeling that, of looking at someone hungry. I always say, what Dr. Carr says, he says, when there's a mother with 4 kids and she ain't got no food, she got to make decisions. And so whatever decision she had to make to feed them, she has to make decisions. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that is right. And I'm going to tell you guys a little secret that a special forces guy told me. A lot of the countries that they went to, they got help from the kids. Do you know why? Because the kids were hungry.
That's what to say. Okay.
Yeah,
And I'm
true.
telling you, even though kids are hungry, they still play outside.
Yep.
So you'll never know. So you'll never know in that kind of a situation who's talking to your children. Because if your kid is fed and your kid is full, mentally they'll make the right choice. No, you are a stranger. Leave me alone. Now, some of the soldiers, they would give canned food, they would give chocolate, they would give
Yep.
water, they would give those basic things. And guess what they got? Information.
Yep. That's true. Yeah, no,
So
no, no,
you-
no. That's true. 'Cause that's
So
what
not, I'm not trying to open up another can of worms, but I'm just saying that is
See,
the other.
every time we try to end the show, you always, every single time, every time he comes on here, we try to end the show, he starts another hour. So, okay,
No,
so,
see, we will definitely have you back.
yeah. No. Yeah. Katie said it's very interesting. No, that is true. Believe it or not, when, and I'm just gonna say this last part, when we got to Iraq, when I was in Iraq in 2003, we had these big old blocks of ice, right? And what we would do is we would literally give the kids a chem light. If y'all know what a chem light is, it's a little light that you crack when you crack and it, you shake it up and it lights up. That was our bartering tool in Iraq. We would give families chem lights. We'd say, hey, here's a chem light. They're, oh wow, light. And so they go crack at night and they could see. Well, they would give us big old blocks of ice. Just that one little thing that they would do. The kids giving them MREs or going to the school and giving them school supplies, outreaches and stuff like that. Because we had one of our models in 2004 was winning the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people, right? And one of the ways you win their hearts and minds is you get out there, you talk to them, and the people you talk to the most is, like you just said, was the children. And the children would come and tell you everything you need to know about who they seen where they seen them go, because they were hungry. And as long as you fed someone's stomach, they'll feed you information.
So to end on that note, like we said at the beginning of the show, I don't care where you live, everybody has some type of disaster, or Mother Nature's gonna come and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, a storm's coming. But right now, with just the way the world is now, I don't care if you are Magic Jordan, Magic Johnson, sitting on a $1 billion, you're Oprah, you're Jeff Bezos, whomever. Just because you have money, to me, doesn't mean that you can survive. Because, you can have all this money, but we may be in a society where money is not going to matter. Where what is going to matter is if you have those beans, if you have those hot dogs, if you have those batteries or those flashlights, whatever. So I just say, everyone, just think about it, be prepared. You don't have to go out and fill up your whole house or whatever, but start with little things. Start with that garden. Start just doing little things to, just because you just never know, because today could be sunshine. Tomorrow you're going to have snow, the blackouts, the heat waves, the fires, whatever. And I am going to say this one last time. Ham radios. I have mentioned it to people. I only mentioned stuff twice, but since we're on the show, I'm going to say it again. If you do not have a ham radio license, I suggest you get one. I go back to the Paradise Fire here in California, where one civilian had a ham radio. No one else was able to get a signal out, a cell signal, anything. And he helped relate news for 5,000 people to their families, because he was the only one who was able to get to talk to people. A landline is going to go out. Cell towers are going to be the first things that they take down. A ham radio, it works on the waves out in the sky, whatever. If you don't have one, I'm just saying. So for me, it's about being prepared. So prep. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
coming on, man. We will have you back because I know you have a lot to say. I know he has so much to say. I mean, he was on my show. We had to do a part 2. So
Definitely let's have him back.
but thank you for
Thank you,
taking time out on this Saturday.
Great to meet you, Lloyd.
It's great to meet you.
Always great show, great content all the time. It's awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys.
And as we sign out all the time, peace.